Good morning. I can see numbers have got to the levels we were sort of expecting this morning, so I'm going to kick off. And firstly, thank you all for joining us for another Nouveau webinar session. We're trying to do these sessions on a relatively regular basis now, just to keep our customers and prospective clients informed of any technology changes, and also as well sort of give some updates around Nouveau as an organisation, as there's been some quite interesting developments here in the last month, 6 weeks. So firstly and foremost, just want to give you sort of a bit of an overview of what we're going to run through today. So firstly and foremost, welcome. Just to sort of give you some background as to the two individuals, myself and Kip, who will be presenting today. I've personally been within the security industry now for around 15 years. I'm specifically focused on the security proposition within Nouveau. If I haven't spoken to you yet, I'm hopefully going to be speaking to you in the future in regards to what your sort of security strategies are, what you're doing as an organisation, and hopefully sort of work with you guys and your account managers to sort of support how we as an organisation are sort of slightly adapting our sort of process and engaging with customers, and I'll go into that in a bit more detail in the future. Been with the business around 18 months, feels a lot longer, feel part of the woodwork already, so no, feel very welcome here at Nouveau. And then secondly, Kip. Kip's the Fortinet sales engineer for the UK and Ireland channel. Been supporting myself throughout that 18 months, making sure my Fortinet technical knowledge is up to par, as I should say. And he's got vast technical experience. He's been with the industry for a number of years, specifically with Fortinet for 18 months, coming across from Juniper, where he was with them for 5 years as well. So he's got a good technical understanding of parameter security. And as we'll sort of go into in a bit more detail, sort of run through how that sort of fits together with Fortinet now. So yeah, sort of going to present a quick overview of Nouveau, just to give you an understanding, as there are a mixture of prospective and existing customers on this morning's demo. Our engagement process, I'm not going to harp on too much about it, because if you're on the last webinar, it's something I'm trying to sort of bring into the process that we work towards here now at Nouveau, and hopefully for those people who haven't seen the security life cycle, it will definitely give you some exposure into how we're looking to engage with our customers from a security perspective. I'm then going to be handing over to Kip, the important part, to run through the SD-WAN presentation, give you hopefully a really good introduction to the technology. There's a lot of marketing material out there around SD-WAN, but the nice thing is really the key differentiator around Fortinet, and why Kip will hopefully touch on why secure SD-WAN is where Fortinet are taking that marketplace, and then a key thing, what benefits that's actually going to bring to your business and to your organisation moving forward. We then will have a Q&A session. Please utilise the chat facilities within the webinar session that we're running, and Kip and I will go through those questions at the end. And I'll then just touch on some of the services that we see on the back of this that potentially may help you in opening dialogue either with your account manager or myself, or potentially Fortinet, to sort of run through what the next steps may be in your sort of view and review of SD-WAN. So a little bit about us, for those who don't know. We've been in the IT solutions and managed service business for over 25 years. Very client-centric. We have a very flexible approach delivering solutions to our client base. And we have a breadth of technical knowledge. I think one of the key things, and I'll also just jump through this slightly, one of the key differentiators that I believe we have as an organisation is those 5 pillars. As an organisation, there aren't many organisations that have that underpinning understanding of the different elements of what would normally be most IT security and infrastructure reviews that go on in these days. Security is so paramount to all the other different pillars of our technology. May it be us deploying a new server environment, may it be upgrading a network. Security is always some element of that project going to come up in discussion. And that's where, because we've got engineers that cross-pollinate over those pillars, it really helps us with understanding what those further challenges may be during that project roadmap that you're going to be working through. We do have a track record of success. A lot of organisations have utilised us for project management, design, pre-sales, and really the key part, and as I'm trying to sort of focus on now, is that whole lifecycle management piece. And the whole purpose of today is to really focus on the IT security proposition that we have. A couple of other bits just to sort of add to our credibility. We are ISO 27001 and ISO 9001 accredited. which especially playing in the security arena, I believe we have to have these certifications, and we are also as well Cyber Essentials certified as well. The key part also as well, I'm sure our marketing department will be organising another session to sort of run through what this actually means in more detail to our clients and prospective customers, is we are now part of Vinci Energies. The acquisition went through about 6 weeks ago. Hopefully you've seen the marketing material that they've been sending out to sort of give you some initial insight into what that major development for us as an organisation means. But at the end of the day, it's still the same old Nouveau. The delivery of services, the people. As I said, I'm not going to sort of steal anyone's thunder because Vinci Energies aren't coming in here to massively change the organisation. They're coming in to support us and to take us to that next stage in our development rather than coming in to change the entire business model. So it's really exciting times. Being with the organisation for 18 months, it's something I'm really looking forward to. So as I said, today is all about IT security. And to give you sort of a very brief, as I said, overview, here is some of the success stories that we have within our customer base. And one of the nice things and one of the reasons why I was personally drawn towards Nouveau when I was looking around 18 months ago was the different sections of customers that they dealt with. It wasn't just one sector, it wasn't just one size. Everyone has the same challenges when it comes to IT security. And therefore, it makes no difference if you're in the NHS, if you're a privately run business, or a 50-user business. The challenges you have are all the same, and therefore it gave me the opportunity to deal with lots of different customers and lots of different challenges, but therefore being able to share the experience that we gained dealing with people like Tower and big NHS trusts, and being able to utilise that knowledge when speaking to some of our smaller clients, because as I said, the challenges are just the same. It's just necessarily the technology we use may be slightly different to actually deliver the end results. So my security life cycle, and this is a key part really that I wanted to share with people today, because I think this really does differentiate us as a business, because it's trying to bring together that whole life cycle piece that we as an organisation deliver for a lot of our customers, but probably don't shout about it loud enough. And to just sort of run through very, very quickly the 5 elements of what that life cycle sort of pulls together. And it's how quickly and how early in that process that we'd like to engage with our customer base. And it really is getting involved as an early stage as we can to assist you guys with doing things like posture reviews, vulnerability management, looking at the compliances that you're trying to achieve as an organisation, where you want to be in 3, maybe 5 years' time. And as part of that assess process, that then helps us and takes us through to that design methodology to make sure that the solutions and the services that we're recommending have that scale and have that scope, that moving forward as an organisation, we're taking all of that into consideration rather than making potential technology recommendations that aren't necessarily suited to your longer term business plan. As a managed services business, we have all of the services from an implementation perspective, helping you in implementing the solutions that we're going to be recommending to you. May it be project management, training services to assist with making sure that return on investment is actually returned back to the business, or it could be configuration reviews, existing technologies that you've already got, where we've got that expertise with vendors like Fortinet, where you want to sort of utilise our engineers and consultants to make sure you're really getting the most out of the technology that you're actually implementing. Our wraparound services, support managed services, proactive managed services, continual health check services, making sure, as I've said, that you are fully benefiting from the solutions that you have got in place. And it's part of that whole life cycle piece that then takes that full circle in making sure that we're doing those ongoing security reviews, checking the posture of your security and looking at how that can be improved as your business changes, the market changes, and we're taking all of that into consideration. So again, it almost goes full circle, and we're then making further recommendations around technology that you may want to utilise, because either your market's changed or your business has changed. And how does Fortinet really underpin all of that? And I think if you look at the security fabric of what Fortinet now brings to the party, they're the only vendor that bring together 8 integrated solutions. A lot of organisations or a lot of our customers and prospective customers know them for the network security piece, which is exceptional. What they don't necessarily realise, and I'm sure, as I said, we're probably going to do another webinar to really just touch on what Fortinet's ecosystem is all about, is around their network security, their multi-cloud security, email web application security. It really is evolving into a true ecosystem, and it's a major differentiator for them. and it's sort of moving away from that multi-vendor to single vendor approach, which brings huge benefits in shared intelligence, unified management. As I said, it's a really, really well thought out ecosystem and proposition now that I think a lot of our clients, no matter where you're on that journey, it's not a big bang. It can be a slow progressive phases that you go through to get yourself to a point where some of your endpoint with your web applications and your firewall is sharing that intelligence. So if there is a breach or a vulnerability exploited, that shared intelligence is being able to use some of the intelligence AI, or may it be some of the policies that you've written within your security structure that starts being triggered to then automated responses to those breaches and vulnerabilities that are being exploited. So it's a really, really good message. So I'm now going to hand over to Kit to focus on that SD-WAN proposition. I thank you for the initial sort of 10 minutes just to give you a sort of initial overview. Kit will now go into the SD-WAN piece in more detail, and I'll pick up at the end of the session. Kit, are you there?
Yes, Ian, thank you very much. Hi, guys. My name's Kipros Michael, as Ian said, Channel SC for the UK and Ireland, and I've been at Fortinet for a year and a half now. So obviously with the last couple of years, of the recent buzzwords have been SD-WAN, etc., and the marketing around it, and Fortinet have come in at the right time in the last year or two with regards to SD-WAN. So we've introduced the whole security side piece with the SD-WAN. So today I'm going to discuss secure SD-WAN, benefits, how we work, why we work, centralized management, and basically benefits and why secure SD-WAN is overall more important than actually SD-WAN itself. But yeah, any questions at the obviously just put them through in the chat, and then we'll come back to you afterwards towards the end. So quick overview first of all. What is SD-WAN? For those guys that don't know, centralized control over different WAN endpoints, right? So to be able to dictate what type of traffic from your branch to the HQ or the cloud, for example, right? All the routing is based on link quality. Or application IDs. So I'm able to sit there and dictate whether it's voice or data, whether it's social media, and I can dictate which path it takes from your branch to the endpoint destination. And today I'll show you a nice little demo a bit later on as well. I'll put a little demo together on video so I can show you some voice traffic going across various VPN connectivities to two sites. So why SD-WAN? Why do people want to go SD-WAN? Why that route? Number one is widespread adoption of cloud services driving different WAN requirements. Number two is improved availability and performance for services for users. Number three, cost savings, obviously. Make use of cheaper WAN links, make use of all the WAN links available, and less management overhead. Obviously, with the use of all WAN links over the past, people have had one or two links within their data centers or branch offices, and some of those links stay dormant, right? So why not use them instead of just sitting there paying a subscription, a monthly fee when there's no data going across it, right? So you can start pushing data or voice across that non-used link, for example. And obviously increase agility, make use of WAN links which can be provisioned very, very quickly, and obviously make routing changes very quickly and immediately. And this is where the whole Fortinet Secure SD-WAN fits in lovely. So why do we need to integrate SD-WAN with the next generation firewalling, right? So a lot of people look at SD-WAN and they've got a next generation firewall in situ, and then they're looking at other vendors to put the SD-WAN piece all together. So you're looking at multiple vendors and multiple appliances. Where Fortinet sits in nicely is we can provide all of that in one bit of tin, right? Whether it's virtual or physical. So looking at your different scenarios, reasons to integrate next generation firewalling and SD-WAN. Obviously, as you can see, there are many internet touch points, whether it's your branch, whether it's your data center, whether it's your cloud service provider, right? We need to have application IDs that are essential for all of these connectivities. So whether you've got voice traffic or Office 365 traffic or social media traffic, we need to be able to work out what kind of traffic it is, so we can dictate where to push that traffic using the application IDs. Increase the visibility into traffic at each branch. So we need to see what traffic is going where and be able to have the visibility and control and to drill down to see what kind of traffic and data is going between sites. And obviously, importantly as well, is visibility into encrypted protocols, have the ability to be able to see what's inside those encrypted protocols. And finally, is a lower total cost of ownership and consolidation and simplification to be able to have all of those features and functionality into one bit of a technology, rather than spreading that across various bit of kit, vendors, etc. And the next slide brings us on nicely, right? So your the typical devices in a branch office, right? You'd have an access switch, you'd have a wireless access point, a core switch, a firewall, an SD-WAN device, a CP router, and an LTE 4G device for example, resiliency and separate dedicated connectivity. We can consolidate and simplify that into a nice, we call it the Fortinet SD branch scenario. And the purpose here is to be able to have it all centrally managed for you, a single GUI, like a single pane of glass, to be able to control the whole thing into one physical bit of kit, or virtual, or different bits of kit attaching to it, like switches, but you control it centrally using one GUI. And that allows us the ability to get rid of various different management mechanisms, and all of these individual devices in a traditional branch are not centrally managed, right? So it makes an absolute headache for a knock or sock to be managing all these various layers within your branch model. So the Fortinet SD branch scenario fits in lovely here. So example one, a small branch. So we have a FortiGate or 40 Wi-Fi. This is a small integrated wireless Fortinet firewall, which has integrated antennas as well as a wireless controller within the firewall. And FortiOS, so that is our operating system that sits across all our technology. So whether you've got a Fortinet switch, a Fortinet firewall, or Fortinet access point, it is all managed and controlled by our operating system called FortiOS. And the most important thing here is, a lot of people don't realize, is SD-WAN is enabled and controlled with no additional features, right? And no additional license or cost associated to it. Fortinet have always done SD-WAN in the past. We used to call it link load balancing. And as time has progressed and the features have improved, and now down to the latest technology and latest version of software, we're able to compete up there with the big SD-WAN players. So recently in the Gartner Magic Quadrant, Fortinet have appeared there as one of the leaders and challengers within there. Like I said, you can enable SD-WAN and control it free of charge. So if you've got a bit of Fortinet kit already, the SD-WAN functionality is there already. No feature, no license, or nothing is required. Next level is a medium type branch scenario, where we're able to introduce a FortiGate firewall, potentially with a 60E with the DSL. So that allows us the ability to have no CPE, right? So we can connect an internet connectivity straight into the FortiGate. So that makes the CPE redundant, no needed. We're then able to give the Forti extender, and that gives the ability to have a 4G and 3G connectivity. So this is a small external device that connects straight into the FortiGate, and it is able to hold dual SIMs. It gives you access to your cellular networks. It supports 2 SIMs, and it can be positioned anywhere in the building, up to 100 meters from your FortiGate with a physical connection. So if you're in a low basement, for example, or a cabin that is out in the wilderness, and you need resiliency and dual connectivity, you can have a Forti extender stuck to the side of a building, out of a window, etc. And most importantly, you can manage the whole Forti extender through the single GUI, the GUI of the FortiGate firewall. So as you can see here, this is the FortiGate firewall. There's a heading for the Forti extender there, and you've got all your connectivity control. And as you can see, there's a SIM in there for T-Mobile and a SIM in there for AT&T. So you've got all the configuration and the visibility all through the single pane of glass on the FortiGate firewall. And then wireless. So people obviously interested in wireless as well. So we support 40 APs available for every type of environment. Again, we control the APs and the wireless controller all through the single pane of glass on the firewall. So as you can see here, we're totally controlling the whole branch through the single pane of glass on the individual firewall. So we're able to control my SSIDs, my Fortinet access point profiles, my wireless access point profiles, and any configuration associated to the access points and the wireless connectivity, all through the single pane of glass of the FortiGate GUI. Next stage, we've got the large branch, where we can introduce a Forti switch. So if you need a FortiGate with extended more ports, including PoE, you can purchase a bigger firewall with more ports, or more importantly, you can purchase a Forti switch. So this is an extension to the FortiGate Fortinet fabric, right? So we're extending the security right to the switch port here. So we're able to connect using the FortiLink connectivity to the firewall, and you're basically seeing that Forti switch being controlled by the firewall as an extension to the fabric, and you literally put in security to the edge port. And again, on the single pane of glass on the firewall GUI, we're able to control all the VLANs, all the ports, all the fixed speeds, and start doing device profiling on the switches as well, all through the firewall configuration GUI. And as you can see there, you can start profiling devices connected to the FortiGate or Forti switch straight on the GUI as well. So SD-WAN, improved performance and availability. So obviously with SD-WAN, whether you've got a small, mid-size or large site, you're able to use the FortiGate with all the SD-WAN capabilities, start doing application routing and load balancing, to do application performance monitoring, and do dynamic failover based on link quality. So there's with integrated application control, web filtering, advanced threat protection, anti-botnet, intrusion prevention, and antivirus, all our next generation firewall features, which is obviously a license that comes on the box. You're able to control traffic using application IDs now. So example one, active standby. I'm able to dictate where traffic is going, either through an MPLS link or a local breakout link. So I can look at stats like packet loss, latency, and jitter, and dictate where traffic is where the traffic is going to go. So for example, if I look at priority of voice, for example, I can give it a high priority of a less packet loss and less latency. And if that decides to tip over the scales of what I've set it, I can then push the traffic via internet connectivity, local breakout instead of the MPLS, all totally configurable. As you can see here on the FortiGate firewall, I start setting performance SLAs, where I can set my latency, my jitter, my packet thresholds, and you can start doing performance SLAs for different types of traffic. And second example is ISDB and local breakout. So I'm able to look at dictating traffic. So I've got a 40 extender here, and I'm dictating. I want to decide to send all my social media via a 4G SIM. So I'm not using any of my bandwidth. If my service provider is charging me on pay-per-use, I can start sending my social media. So people using iPhones and iPads on Instagram and Snapchat and Facebook, I can start pushing that traffic down 40 extender on 3G, 4G, giving them limited bandwidth, right? All totally controllable by the firewall. And any important traffic going to the head end, whether it's Office 365 traffic, shop till traffic, you can dictate that and send it via DSL or basic connectivity. That's all configured via the SD-WAN policies within the firewall. And again, Internet Service Database is dynamically updated, and FortiGuard is our brains in the cloud. So automatically we update the Internet Service Database within the firewall on any new IP addresses by name, right? So if there's any change to a Microsoft 365 server, for example, no configuration is needed. FortiGuard updates your firewall automatically. And example number 3 is application ID and link load balancing, where we're able to dictate on different types of scenarios. So we look at traffic. So if I start looking at voice traffic, I can pick up application IDs, whether it's SIP, whether it's Skype, and start dictating whether the best quality strategies to use. So if I'm looking at best quality, minimum quality, maximum bandwidth, and start setting latency weights, jitter weights according to that. So if a particular latency weight or a jitter goes above my threshold, I can start switching the traffic across to another link. And that's the example I'm going to show you my demonstration today. As you can see here, depending on what packet loss and latency is happening, I can start dictating where the packet is, where the traffic's going to go, whether it's via an MPLS link, whether it's via a local breakout on the internet, all controllable via the SD-WAN rules within the firewall. So this is my example of a little demonstration. So before I click play, I just want to explain what it is. It's 2 sites, two basic sites, 2 virtual firewalls, and in between I have a nice WAN emulator, and I've set a few rules in there regards to pinging and TCP and UDP traffic. So I've got two VPNs configured. There's a primary VPN and a secondary VPN, as you can see, and they're both up at the moment. And I've set basic SD-WAN rules for ping, TCP, and UDP. And if I look at my SD-WAN rules now, I want to look at how to dictate and where to push traffic if certain things, jitter or latency, drop. So these are my 2 servers in question. So you can see a constant ping happening between the 2 sites, as you can see there. So very literally 0 millisecond traffic going across. I'm going to start a SIP call between the 2 servers. So once I kick that SIP call off and get my other server to accept the call, and we're going to see this going across the primary VPN, right, with no SD-WAN rules kicking into play yet. So I'm accepting that call now. So that stays stable. So that's connected. Great. So that's the SIP call between the 2 sites. I'm going to go into my WAN emulator now of the firewall. So I'll go in the firewall first, double check to prove the traffic's going across the VPN, the primary VPN. Look at sources. Look at destination interfaces within the filter. If I look at destination interfaces here, Obviously, as you can see, all my traffic is going via the primary VPN, as you can see. Okay, right, let's start injecting some latency and jitter along that line. So if I select the first interface, which I know is the primary Ethernet 0, which is the primary VPN, I'm going to make that a delay of 900 milliseconds and apply that. So now the secondary VPN, Ethernet 2, is taking precedence. So I look here, the voice call is still going to be kicking into, still working, as you can see. The voice call is kicking in. And also, if you look at the ping times there, we're now hitting 900 milliseconds. So once the SD-WAN rules kick into place, that should drop down to 200. There you go. So that's now dropping down to 200 milliseconds, which means that's the secondary VPN as stated, as you can see on the emulator there. And if you look at a voice call is still working, as you can see. The voice call is still running. Just to prove there, and that's 200 milliseconds as per the WAN emulator on the secondary VPN interface. So like I said, the voice call is still running. So once we confirm that we're happy there with the voice connectivity, we're going to go and look at the data within the firewall, and we're going to see that the traffic has now moved across to the secondary VPN. As you can see, the voice call is still running. Been connected for a minute and 40 seconds at the moment. So if we now drill onto our firewall and go into the log stats for that outgoing interface again. And if you recall, you saw I had SD-WAN rules for ping, UDP, and TCP, right? And the voice connectivity is obviously TCP and UDP. If I look at the rules there, re-drill that back into there, and look at the destination interfaces. And there you go. I can see all my traffic now being pushed via the secondary VPN, as you can see, yeah? So we're now pushing all the traffic, and there's a bit of ping going over the primary, and obviously the voice is now splitting over across the secondary. If I now remove that delay off the primary VPN, reset that down to 0 milliseconds, just to show the traffic flipping back. So give it a few seconds. We should see we're no longer having 200 milliseconds back to the 0, because you're going to use the primary VPN. Any second now on a live demo. There you go. Right, so we've now reverted. The emulator's kicked in. We're now reverted back to the primary VPN. As you can see, the voice SIP call is still running. If we go back to our firewall stats, look at the logs again, the sources and the destination interfaces, and the primary VPN's kicked in, the secondary's come down. So as you can see on that example, I've shown you a voice call traversing across the VPN, and we're using delay and latency and jitter just to trigger the traffic and movement between sites. Okay, so I hope that example was good. Moving on, reducing management overhead. So if you got multiple sites now and you want to manage multiple FortiGate firewalls out there, we have FortiManager, which sits in the cloud or sits in your local site anywhere you want. That can push all configurations to FortiGates. That gives us the ability to be able to do SD-WAN configurations, or your FortiExtender configurations, access points configurations, FortiSwitch, etc., all from a central point. And as well as we can do REST API for bespoke management and automation as well. So that gives us the ability to push all configurations to every single Fortinet bit of equipment, whether it's physical or virtual. We can have a centrally controlled management, centrally controlled template, all remote configurations for every single remote site. So I want to just quick touch on zero-touch provisioning, because a lot of customers, they decide they want to sort of do a mass rollout of over 50 sites, for example, and they want to have the easiest ability and less engineering resource to do this. So we have a zero-touch provision scenario here, where a customer is able to order a FortiGate with a FortiDeploy SKU, and then they can actually go ahead and register the device to FortiCloud, and then we can assign FortiManager and IP to the registered devices. And then you can provision your device in FortiManager. So you've added the device configured in FortiManager. Once the device is deployed, it then is clever enough to go out to the cloud, go to FortiGate, register its management details from FortiCloud, and then it will just push the configuration from FortiManager straight to the FortiGate firewall. So that's full configuration. So that's a full zero-day deployment within FortiGate. So going over the 5 steps to configure SD-WAN to show how easy it is. And obviously, this is on a next generation firewall, right? So we're configuring SD-WAN on a next generation firewall. Step number 1, choose your SD-WAN member interfaces. Obviously, there's 2 interfaces in this scenario, A and B. Step 2, we need to define a performance SLAs to gauge the link health, like you saw in that example I showed you. So you start setting latency thresholds, jitter thresholds, packet loss thresholds. Step 3, where you create your SD-WAN rules. So in this scenario, I've got a business critical rule where I'm able to choose my internet service database, in this example, Office 365, Skype, etc. And we're able to do best quality or minimum quality and do maximize bandwidth across that application. Step 4, we're able to define how all other traffic is load balanced across the SD-WAN members. So anything that's not stated in an SD-WAN rule, we can, any default bucket for other traffic, we define how you want that to go across those 2 other links. And finally, and most obviously, as being a firewall, we need to create a policy. So when you create the policy, you use SD-WAN as the outgoing interface of the policy. And this is where we start adding our next generation firewalling. So any subscriptions you have antivirus, IPS, SSL inspection, web filtering, etc. This is where you apply your security profiles for that SD-WAN policy, and off you go. They're the 5 basic steps for SD-WAN configuration on a FortiGate firewall. So FortiManager, as I explained before, is the visibility for multiple FortiGate firewalls on the field. So we have a separate SD-WAN control within FortiManager. So where you've got the visibility, we're able to look at the SD-WAN traffic going across from site to site from ports. So this is an example of a map here where we're able to look at various sites going through it. So as an example, if I do a search within my FortiManager, type in site 3, I'm able to look at the Salesforce traffic, see what jitter and latency is happening. Obviously, it's got orange there, not very good. And we've got here Office 365, very good via WAN 2. So you've got the good visibility on the FortiManager for SD-WAN. So if you've got multiple sites, not just a single site, FortiManager is the way to go. So you can do configuration and full visibility across all your sites through FortiManager. So why choose Fortinet Secure SD-WAN, right? I've touched on a few points today. It's broad and proven range of platforms in many form factors, whether it's physical or virtual. So depending on what size firewall you have, SD-WAN is enabled across the board. There's no license, there's no charge for it. If you've got a FortiGate firewall, the feature and functionality is there. FortiGate has always done application ID and IPsec very well. Gives us the ability, like you saw in the example of doing SD-WAN across a VPN tunnel, to do the traffic and the application IDs across that for SD-WAN. No other vendor can offer network-wide fabric, so visibility and automated threat protection. No other class-leading next generation firewalling has integrated SD-WAN, and that's the important piece, right? So if you're looking at the leading security vendors out there, Fortinet are the only guys out there that have integrated SD-WAN within their security platform. And finally, is a nice little cost sheet here. So Fortinet is the only vendor with security capabilities to receive recommended ratings in the NSS Lab SD-WAN report. And looking across all these vendors for various SD-WAN vendors, we have the lowest TCO per megabits rating, and we've got a recommended rating from NSS Labs. And if you look at the quality of experience and for voice and video, we're above the use case, and we're leading the way, as you can see. So I hope that's a quick insight into Fortinet Secure SD-WAN. I hope that covered what you're looking at. And Ian, over to you again, mate.
Thank you very much indeed, Kip. That was fantastic. Really covered off how I'm articulating that SD-WAN or secure SD-WAN message to our clients and prospective customers. So thank you very much indeed for doing that. I hope everyone found it as insightful, as useful as I have. So yeah, it was really just a very quick finish, really. I will touch and see if we've had any questions very shortly. So if there is anything you would like to question myself or Kip on while I'm just finishing up, please do go ahead and, as we've both said, utilise the questions facility within the webinar if there are any. In terms of next actions, really, and how we're looking to sort of engage with our customers to assist them in their sort of next phase of their SD-WAN review, really, there's 3 services potentially that we offer that could assist our clientele. One is to complete a more thorough, fully fledged health check audit, which will really give you a sort of full audit and analysis of the current configuration, and make sure you're utilising the latest firmware available from Fortinet, go through the configuration to make sure you are utilising all of the latest and greatest technologies within the firewall to really benefit from that sort of update and upgrade and sort of a fully fledged audit of what's going on currently. Maybe more of a specific SD-WAN configuration review. You know, Kip's touched on some of the really useful elements of where SD-WAN may be applicable to you as an organisation, but we are also aware that each customer has their own requirements and their own designs and WAN setups, and therefore it may be worthwhile us having an initial conversation, understand what your current setup is, what it's looking to be like in the next 12 to 18 months, and where we believe SD-WAN could benefit you as an organisation. Or you may be wanting to take control of that, and therefore we can deliver some training in sort of giving you that update, making sure you're aware of what the technology can deliver, so you can then, within your teams, within the organisation, go ahead and actually implement those services, may it be SD-WAN or other technology facilities within the FortiGate proposition. So I don't believe, looking at our questions, there are any that have been posed, which means, Kip, you must have done a fantastic job because no one's got any questions, which is brilliant. So as I said at the beginning, and I will just quickly go back, please feel free at any point to drop me a line. I'm here to work with your account managers and sort of give them my insight and sort of work through the process. Just wanted to go back. Here's my contact details. So if you do have any questions or queries, please feel free to drop me an email. I'm here to help. But yeah, thank you all for joining this morning. I hope it's been a benefit to you, and I look forward to engaging with you soon. Thanks, Kip. We'll speak soon, mate.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers. Thanks, everyone.